Have you ever felt like you've been chasing a big goal and that you just wanted to quit? I know I have. One day when I was back in college, I called my coach and told him I was done playing college football. And I felt like a big loser when I called my parents and told them that I was quitting college football. See, I was never a quitter, but I had had enough. It all had started back for me back in high school when I was my senior year of high school football. When we started out as a 4-1 season, we had a real promising team, but half of our team decided it was more important to party than to actually win games, and we proceeded to lose our last five games. And I just didn't want football to end like that. But after that, a new dream emerged. Because I didn't want it to end like that, I decided that I was going to go after playing college football. So I decided that I was going to go play college football at a Division II school where I could earn an athletic scholarship and play at a higher level than a small college. So I picked Mankato State, which is close to my home, and I liked the school, but more importantly, it was to make it even harder on myself, it was actually what was called at the time the hardest Division II football conference in the country, arguably. And so I made it a challenge even harder on myself, but that was what I wanted. I wanted to do something big and audacious. So I dove into the football culture, and basically what I did is I just worked out, practiced, lived and ate and breathed football. But that day I had had enough. That day, all the years of getting the physical punishment, of being made to lay on the ground, and the humiliation of being made to be basically a tackling dummy because I was a walk-on, and a walk-on is somebody who just walks on, doesn't get a scholarship. It's just there because they want to be there, but basically you're cannon fodder. So I was a walk-on, so they made me lay on the ground and be a dummy sometimes. And then there was my position coach who had his favorite players that were, frankly, they were just kind of lazy and they didn't play real well sometimes, but it didn't matter. He liked them, they were his boys. So he let them do whatever they wanted, and it didn't matter how hard I worked or the fact that I had beat some of the kids in practice that were on scholarship. I was still kind of at the same point I started at. I felt like nothing was going to change. So that day I'd had enough, and I'd called the coach. But I had an epiphany, and that epiphany was that I would give spring football one last chance. And I would say I put 3 years into this program, and I decided that I needed to give this one last chance. So I decided to give it one last chance, and when the smoke cleared after spring football, the coach called me up into his office and offered me a scholarship. My first goal was accomplished, and I had two goals, and one was to earn a scholarship and one was to start. So I had accomplished my first goal. So that fall, I came back, and that fall I came back and I wasn't a starter yet. That was my second goal, but I had a new position coach, which was kind of a breath of fresh air, Coach Mussman. Our old position coach left, and Coach Mussman did not show favoritism. He was fair, he was just, and he had played the actual position that he coached, unlike our last position coach. And so all the boys that were so well liked by the other position coach were becoming to be held accountable. So he taught us how to play smart and how to play hard and how to play with attitude. And I would think more importantly to me, he poured encouragement into me as a player that drove me to keep going, and that encouragement was called to the test when early in the season the person that was playing in front of me was actually injured in the first play of the game against one of the best teams in the country. I was thrust into action. The great thing is I responded to the call. I went in and I played out of my mind that day, and the call had come not quite like I'd expected it, like it always does, but my moment had been here, the moment I'd been waiting for. I was now a starter, and I held that starting position all the way through my junior year, into the playoffs, our junior year to the national playoffs, and all the way through my senior year, even when that player that I replaced came back and tried to get his position back. So with that journey, there was a lot of conflict and there was a lot of challenges. It wasn't all rainbows and unicorns. So there was things along the way. There was definitely people on the coaching staff that didn't feel I belonged to because I was a former walk-on, and they didn't think I deserved to play, and there were some derogatory comments that were thrown my way. There was also players that were jealous, and in fact, after one game, my junior year, a senior player cornered me in the bar and proceeded to tell me how he felt he should play because he's a senior and I shouldn't play. But I just let him rant because I knew he spent his summers drinking, getting fatter and more out of shape, while I spent my summers busting my butt. So I wasn't buying what he was selling. And then there was the time right before my senior year, my serious girlfriend at the time informed me that she had decided to find another guy and was cheating on me and decided to dump me for this other guy, but she didn't want to ruin my season by telling me. So, you know, despite how hard that was to hear, something rose up inside of me, some kind of power, and I said, you know, I've had this vision for so many years. I'm not going to let your decisions ruin my vision. And I said, I'm going to push forward and I'm going to see the thing through. Well, as I saw the thing through, I pushed through my senior season. After our last game, we obliterated our opponents 54-7, and it finished our senior year off very, very well. And on the bus ride home, I remember being sad because the whole thing was over, but also feeling a sense of accomplishment because I had seen this thing through despite all the trials and tribulations. And I had done this football thing that nobody thought I could do. And to this day forward, it has carried me forward in my life. So, you know, coming forward at this point in my life, I found that one experience in my life that shaped who I am for the rest of my life. For this football experience is that experience, because it's taught me three things. And the three things that were really important were, number one is hard work and persistence and dedication will always beat out talent and genetic. Remember, I was telling you, I wasn't a scholarship player. There's people more talented than me, but I was able to outwork them. And that work ethic is carried forward into my life to this day. Number two was that whenever something looks really bad, maybe there's no hope, there's a breakthrough usually coming around the corner. Remember I talked about just the point I was about to quit, that's when I accomplished my first big goal. And I would have quit, I would have missed out on so much. So it's important to hang in there. And number three, I think this is really important. I don't think I would have made my second goal had I not had a good guide in Coach Mussman. And Coach Mussman was the guide I needed to teach me to be the player I needed to be to step up and take that starting position and be in that role. So those three things have really kind of gotten with me through the rest of my life. And today, as I go through life, there's different challenges, but I go back to when I face trials and challenges, that old football mentality, and it helps me go back to those lessons I've learned to face the challenges I have being a business owner, being a dad, being a husband, just life in general. And I can't think of any experience that has changed who I am for the better for this day, and I want you to have an experience like that as well.